Welcome back. This week, I also had the chance to speak to Democratic leader of the Florida House, Fentrice Driskell, for her perspective on this year's legislative session.
So to me, Jim, I liken it to Act Two of a very bad play. We had a very long session for 2025. It was marked by Republican infighting. I think we're headed down the same path. I don't know that things have changed very much. There still seems to be a lot of frostiness between Republican leadership in the House and the governor. I'm watching the body language the other day at the State of the State address and looking how the Senate Republican leadership seemed to be enamored with the governor. I think we're going to be in for a bumpy session.
It seems to me that if there is one issue that is likely to come through this session, at least the regular session, could be property taxes. And I know that the House has a half a dozen or 7 proposals moving through. From your perspective, from the Democratic perspective, what are you seeing in some of these proposals? What are your concerns? And what do you think will ultimately make it on the ballot?
So what I see is a shell game, the shell game where, you're trying to guess which marble is under the shell, because what the truth is that people are either going to pay out of the back of their pocket or the front of their pocket. What could happen if we reduce property taxes is that people could wind up paying fees for services. So imagine that you go to your local library and before you can check out a book, you have to pay a fee, or going to a park and have to pay a fee, because we know that property taxes are what fund our local government services. And by the way, roughly 60 to 70 cents of every property tax dollar goes to fund law enforcement. So we don't want to see these services cut. What I think might ultimately happen is that the Republicans might make so many carve-outs in these property tax bills that in the end, the people don't actually get the savings that they thought they were going to get. So that's why I call it the shell game. It's either that you're going to have to pay for this somehow, because you got to pay for trash to get picked up, you got to pay for roads to get repaved, or they're going to carve out so much that they're going to promise you a big savings, but you're not going to get it. So what do I think the real solution is? Don't focus on property taxes at all. What people really want to see us do is focus on property insurance rate relief, because we see that rates continue to go up in our state.
Well, you could also argue that the other area of relief would be in utilities, in, trying to deny FPL and others, the rate increases that they have been asking for, that seem to be approved, that seem to be coming down the pike. Those are issues. But on the property taxes, let me push back a little. There does seem to be a need, perhaps, for some property tax relief, either targeted to first-time home buyers or on the other end of the spectrum for seniors. Do you see anything worthwhile being pursued in either of those areas?
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because the Senate Democratic Caucus and Florida House Democratic Caucus put forward an affordability agenda, and one of our bills actually would give documentary stamp tax relief to certain first-time home buyers. So we are all in favor of people being able to achieve the American dream, but there is a way to do this, Jim, that doesn't impact local services.
Let me ask the rude question, which is, we have supermajorities in the House and the Senate with Republicans. As the Democratic leader, how do you approach this year's session in terms of trying to have an impact on the legislation that is working its way through?
I'll tell you, Jim, I recently testified in a federal redistricting trial, and in order to prepare for my testimony, I had to go back and revisit legislative floor sessions and the work that my caucus had done on that. And I was so proud of the work that we did, because it put it all in context. No, we may not always have the numbers to stop a bad bill, but the work that we do as the party of opposition matters. It lays the foundation for future legislation. It holds our Republican counterparts to account. It keeps them honest. And we have to continue to fight for the people, even if we don't have the numbers, because you never know when that might change.
Well, that's all the time we have today. If you have any thoughts or comments, feel free to contact me at jdefede@cbs.com. Oh, I do enjoy hearing from you. Thanks again for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.